Thank you very much. Indeed, a wonderful and very intense discussion on cancer, women cancers. But now, we are moving on another orbit, and we have some eminent panelists for this wonderful, session. So this will be certainly a brainstorming discussions which you are going to hear. So women leaders, truly in the sense and their journeys, we are going to discuss in next, around 90 minutes. So without taking much of the time, I would like to call upon all my panelists on board. So we have, I'm welcoming each one of you in the virtual city of Mumbai, and people from different different specialties across the India are joining us here. So we have Ms. Sujata Sonik with us, Additional Chief Secretary. She's in the Services Department, Government of Maharashtra, and she's also a Chekami Fellow from Harvard University. We have with us Air Marshal Aarti Sareen, VSM. She is Director General, Medical Services, Air Forces. We have with us Ms. Tejaswi Satpute, Indian Police Services, Deputy Commissioner of Police in Mumbai. Then we have with us Dr. Shagun Sabharwal. She is the very essence and soul of Women Lift Health, who's doing a lot of work for women upliftment, and she's South Asia Region and Global Monitoring Evaluation and Learning Director for this. We have with us Ms. Sangamitra Singh, who's lead policy and programs, Population Foundation of India. We have with us Ms. Aisha Chaudhary, who's consultant World Bank advisor, Stanford University of India, and also an adjunct professor for IIT Jodhpur. We have with us Dr. and Professor Reena Nair, who's a very, very senior consultant, one of the pioneer in medical oncology in India. And she is at present in Tata Medical Center, Kolkata, proponent for women in oncology. We have with us Dr. Shachi Advyata, Manager, Child Health and Development, Children's Investment Fund Foundation. We have with us Ms. Swati Pandey, she's a Postmaster General, Department of Post India, and a lot of innovation and support to underprivileged women. We have with us Dr. Smita Kayal, very dear colleague and friend, and she's head of the Department of Medical Oncology at Chipmer. So I wish all of you to come on the virtual dais. We also have Dr. Anita Ramesh, who is professor and head medical oncology. You have just been introduced with her. She is our chair for this session. So without taking much of the time, I wish to share my screen. Meera, will you allow me?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
So my slides are visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible. Just put it full screen.
Right. So here we begin. So, this picture is, showing my, my alma mater, Tata Memorial Center, and also some of the slogans which suggest that we have to be passionate towards something which you really believe in. So now I would like to, start with Dr. Sareen. You are on board and you have changed your uniforms very fast. I would like to hear from you, your journey, and when you were changing roles in your journey, what you really wish to highlight, and what you wanted to actually do differently when you see in retrograde, and what is your kind of suggestion towards the people who are listening to you. And also, I have put in this slide a couple of suggestions, questions, if you want to take any of those as well.
Can you see me?
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to see you.
Hi, Jyoti. How are you? Yes. So, you've just mentioned all the things. It's been a very long journey for me, for about 37 years in the armed forces. In the armed forces, the branch that I'm in has had women from 1950. They are very used to, working at par with women. We've always had a parity, and our challenges have been common across the board. We've had managerial and leadership roles from day one, you can say, because we are doctors, we are medical officers, we are also leaders. We lead men and battle, and we lead troops. So we have managerial as well as leadership roles very early in our careers, and we are very much we now are very much gender neutral. We are moving towards, we don't have any kind of issues that I can even talk about on this forum. And I've had equal opportunities to climb this ladder. As you can see, I have reached one of the highest positions I can in my particular branch. And I am the 16th general that has been produced by this corps. So, I mean, I'm not the first. There are plenty of role models before us. And the most important obstacle would be probably yourself. I mean, you have to just, think that I can do it and be lucky enough, of course, be fortunate to have an atmosphere around you that helps you move in your career. So I can say that as I have been able to, transgress across various, jobs, first starting as a doctor, then as a radiologist, then as an oncologist, now as an administrator, now overseeing the medical services of an entire force. It's been a long journey. And I think we need to mentor our juniors. We need to teach them what is to be done next in leadership roles. That's the most important. That's what I would like to say.
So it's very nice to hear from you, and you could manage and navigate the path more effectively, I would say. We have with us Ms. Tejasvi Satpute. So I would like to hear from you now. You Indian Police Service is one of the very, very demanding and commanding job. And generally it is identified as a male dominating branch. So I really want to hear from you. What was your experience right from the beginning here, behavior of your colleagues, juniors, seniors? At times we keep hearing and we keep experiencing. I will show you one of the slide. Also, this is a gender climate in Indian oncology. This is a medical fraternity wherein we have tested from objectivity, and we found that women face a lot of challenges when they are rising the ladder. So on the workforce, they join equally and at times even more while in graduation careers. But as they rise ladder, the women started dropping out, and in managerial or leadership roles, there are less women. So what is your experience and your hurdles? Because it is even more, a job which is more identified as heroes branch, not sheroes.
Good evening, all. Yeah, very nice to be the part of this forum today. And as we all know that all IAS, IPS, they got selected through the exam of UPSC, in which there is no reservation for the ladies, and for all other like all other male colleagues, we get selected through this examination. And when we come on the field, my experience is very positive. We are given all the opportunities that are given to our male colleagues. As me myself have headed 2 districts before coming to Mumbai as a DCP. I was an SP of Solapur district. I was SP of Satara. Before that also, I have done those postings which earlier my male colleagues have done. So though we are very less in number, but we don't feel any discrimination by our hierarchy, our seniors, and to the large extent we can say from the society also. But yes, there are certain areas where the lady is serving for the first time. She is not neutrally seen. She is seen with a question, and then she has to prove herself. And once you prove yourself, after certain period of time, you are accepted. So it's not seen in our hierarchy, because all understand the thing that women are equally capable and have given the same exam and have entered in the services. But in some areas, we feel this, that society is still not believing into the women and their capabilities, and they start with a question mark. And yes, once you prove, then they too appreciate you a lot and give all the appreciation and love. But like wherever I go, I am asked this question. As police is the male dominated field, how do I feel and how do I manage? So I feel it very surprising that why this question comes to only ladies, why not to the males? Because it is challenging for them as well. So this question coming to us, itself is a discriminatory, positively or negatively might be. But then I proudly and happily say that my power doesn't come from my muscles, and it does come from my brain and my capability to interpret the laws, and it comes from the constitution. So like on field, if I say as a lady, I don't face any different problem than my male colleagues. Whatever problem I am facing, even they are facing. So whatever positive things and whatever good experiences, bad experiences I get from the society, my male colleagues too get it. So very happy to share on this platform that yes, there is no discrimination, and equally we are able to perform, and equal appreciation to the large extent we are getting from the society.
I'm glad that yes, there are opportunities which are equal, and people are making their path in leadership positions. But many times we feel that there are some conscious biases which exist. More important than then there are subconscious biases also. So I will come back to you on that as well. And especially I want to understand that what is your junior colleagues' perception and behavior. And we really want to hear from you, your soul, your heart, and your brain, everything put together, that how they feel to take commands and orders from a lady officer, especially when you were new in the system. And I completely agree with you that when there is a mob in front, or howsoever strong as your muscles are, it is your brain and your learning and your constitution which support you, and no amount of physical attributes can control a mob in front of you, whether it is a male or a female officer. So with that, I would again come back to this survey, which I really rate high. Although of course there's a bias that I was one of the person who was involved with this survey, but we have done an MCQ based survey to all, and also in-depth questions to few of the colleagues which from different age groups. And then we found that people say that they are not bothered so much with the conscious bias, and the laws and the rules of the land are more or less similar, but it is the subconscious biases which are predominating. And as you some of the point you said, that you need to prove, especially when you're new, people try to validate, and this validation at times becomes time and again. So there comes a challenge. I will move on to Dr. Shagun Sabharwal, and I wish you to hear from you. You are doing a lot of great work with Women Left India, and your experience, in this regard, and also why you have taken this mission forward.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bajpai. And first, I just want to congratulate you and thank you for getting us all together to discuss something so very important. And I think it's still not often talked about and doesn't get the kind of attention that it deserves. And I'm really happy to be in the middle of so many amazing women leaders like yourself and some of the other panelists. So I think, I feel what happens specifically in the case of health, and of course gender inequality is a huge problem overall. You look at any sector, women always are kind of not being able to rise up the way they should, because there's not a lack of talent, there's not lack of training, there's not lack of qualification. Despite all of that, we are not even being able to get to where we should be, which is the decision-making tables. And I think it's very important to recognize that when you don't have diversity in leadership, when you don't have diversity in decision-making, who's sitting on the table, whose voices are being heard, when you are designing research programs, when you are thinking about where we should invest, when you are thinking about health policy, makes a big difference to ultimately what gets designed, right? In health, the situation, I think, is even more unique, because the workforce globally, we know it's 75% of the health workforce are women around the world. And yet, when you start to look at the leadership positions, you see it's only 25% of women. And when you look at C-suite positions, then it's even less. It's only 5% of women who are represented in C-suite positions. And if you then look at the low and middle income countries representative, it even falls shorter. So definitely, I think there are a lot of things that need to be done. For Women Lift Health, our mission has been to really focus on mid-career women. And we get this question, asked this question a lot of times, why mid-career women? And what data shows is that mid-career women are women who have experience of 10 to 20 years. They have a lot of expertise, they have a lot of experience, and yet something starts to happen at that level where they are not able to move to very senior leadership position. They either get elbowed out, or they drop off, or they just stagnate. So one of the things that we have been thinking about is that there may be some internal barriers as well as external barriers. When it comes to internal barriers, I think it's very important to acknowledge that the way the social conditioning of women has happened, there are times where we are not able to maybe necessarily navigate the organizational politics that we need to, right? Or we are not able to maybe and it's not really our fault, but you do need some support to think about that mindset shift, that emotional intelligence that we need when you have to take decisions in the face of uncertainty. So Women Lift Health is doing this through its flagship program called the Leadership Journey, where we are really bringing together 30 women leaders in health who are mid-career and trying to take them through this experience. It's not a training. They are already talented women. We're not trying to teach you something, but it's just helping you kind of just be a much better version of yourself and have more power in that sense. But that's one thing. I think the other thing to be clear about is that we can't just put onus only on women. It's not just women's problem. And okay, now we have to drive the agenda. We have to drive this change. We also need to work with institutions. Institutions need to have this thinking that, okay, we really need to make this not be a man's world. Everything has been designed accordingly, right? So there are multi-pronged approaches. And the last thing I would say is I also think it's very important at the societal level to create norm change. And that can only happen if you spotlight women leaders. If younger girls see that there are women leaders out there in science, in health, who are doing such excellent work. One of our mentors says, you cannot be what you cannot see. So for our, that is why it's very important to do these kind of conversations. I'll stop there. I can go on and on, as you know, I'm very passionate about it, but I'll stop here.
So thank you very much. I think very well summarized, and I'll come back to you again, for another question. So you rightly said if you can't see, you really can't dream it also. So there has to be in societies at different levels, those kind of examples. And I'm glad that these awareness is increasing. People are more aware. People are more ready to accept also. Because many times, I also face this, now I'm working for SAARC countries, I'm working for India in the oncology sector, of course, and in the European Society of Medical Oncology also. So as the exposure is getting widened, I'm facing that the women colleagues and different, and not only the very nascent budding oncologists, some of the very established people, some in the middle career, and some even beyond that also. But they say when they talk one to one, rather when they are talking in forum, the voice is slightly changed and version, because they start being calculative, and they also weigh that if I say this more promptly, what will be the effects. So I think these all things are much related with the societies, institutions, and we need to make a change, as Dr. Shagun Sabharwal very rightly said, at all levels. So I will move to Ms. Aisha. So Aisha, you are from the finance side, and a lot of time, this is a question all over the sector, that women are less paid for the same amount of skill, same amount of work. When it comes on negotiation table, they are offered less salary, and it is the expectation that they should be compromising. Generally, it is also because of the different biology and different training that women do not negotiate so much as our men colleagues very easily do that. So your thoughts on that, and otherwise also what message you want to give us?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Bajpai. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm glad to hear such wonderful thoughts from all the other colleagues. And big thanks to the Tata Memorial Center to actually enable this. You pointed out rightly that, yes, a lot of times there is this perception that you don't want to give very important work to women, and therefore you don't want to give them a higher salary as well. However, I think what I really want to point out here, it goes back to the same point which a lot of us have mentioned, that there are these two types of barriers women tend to face. One is what are these common barriers with a lot of women face, which are mostly the external barriers, that how you're perceived as an individual, what is the kind of behavior, what is the kind of access you get at your workplaces. But one has to remember there is the second kind of barrier which is very unique to you as an individual, how you perceive yourself, what you think of yourself, and therefore how you want to present yourself, what is your leadership presence that you want to leave when you walk into such professional organizations. So I think, yes, that perception, that external barrier continues to be there. But if we are really able to address this internal barrier that we are all equal and our abilities are not really influenced by the gender that we present, it has to change from there. You know, we have to first start believing that since we are a woman, that does not equate to us being okay with being paid less and with doing work which is less intellectual or which is less exciting or whatever may be the circumstances. So I think this is a lot of this depends upon how we as individuals, as women, look at ourselves, and therefore what kind of presence do we leave in the room. Once we can work on that, I'm sure a lot of this will continue to change on the external environment also. And I think the other thing that I've experienced in a lot of these workplaces is also women tend to shy away from building social relationships. You know, they don't reach out for advice, for mentorship. And again, if one has to rise in a leadership role and if you want to get good work, you want to be paid equally, you also have to be able to have those sponsors for you in the professional environment. So, therefore, I think the peer-to-peer community is very important for women. And second, building this network of people who will speak up for you, who will become your sponsor and who will be your flag bearer. They are the ones who are going to help you to get this good work, to get equal pay. So I think this network of mentors, advisors, we may call them allies or friends as well, that is very important for us as women to also build in our workplaces and in personal life so that we can continue to go forward in that journey. At the same time, I do want to just point out one little data point, which of course can take this to a different level. India is, I think, the only second country which also offers now equal pay to women and men cricket players starting last October. So this is just one data point which I thought is relevant, which does demonstrate the fact that yes, government is cognizant of this, the country is cognizant, and they are trying to take baby steps. But of course, it is a huge thing to really be able to change that mindset and then translate that into a behavioral change. But yes, I think we have to change mindset of other people, but most importantly, we have to change our own mindset. Unless we can do that, we will not be able to influence and inspire other people around us. So I think it's very important. I'll stop here. Thanks.
So I think very well articulated, and I completely agree that first this should be an acceptance in our own mind. Many times I find that colleagues, friends, and very intelligent women also they feel they are satisfied being a little submissive or underplaying, and even if they are at the second or third or fourth place when they deserve to be on first, they are quite contented and happy about it, because they probably accepted in their mind that that first place is perhaps reserved for the natural leaders which are more stereotyping for a man. So I think, yes, you need to identify your skill set, your personality, your environment, and once you accept, as Aisha very rightly said, that you are not you should why you should getting the less amount of salary or less intellect work. Perhaps there comes the first step, and then perhaps once you are convinced, then you are better able to convince others as well. There are several hurdles. I would say that the path is not easy for in any sector, but once you are convinced in your own mind, and you are not ready to compromise, perhaps you will make a way for yourself as well as handhold for many others too. I would move to Dr. Smita Kayal, oncologist, a very passionate, in patient care, a very intellectual person. So, Smita, what is your experience and what you want to give advice to others for these questions?
First of all, I thank you, Dr. Jyoti, for this invitation and making me part of this wonderful forum. several learning here from all of the members who are sharing their experiences. So I'll say that I have been in oncology for almost last 15 years, starting from my student and as a junior faculty, then as a mid-level faculty, and now I'm heading the department for last 3 months. So along this journey, there has been several challenges and opportunities in different areas, in different aspects. So some of the present challenges which I have as leading the department are like many a times there are subconscious biases, as you say, that the decision to whether to confront them or to let go is on a day-to-day basis. That sometimes when people are not accepting your leadership in different areas, then whether to confront, whether to let it go, to find a pathway to navigate and make your authority known to people is difficult sometimes. But I'm fortunate that I have come across several friends and leaders and mentors who have been helping me in navigating this path. My colleagues are many a time supportive, but I want to understand from other people when there are some snide remarks and benign like remarks that sometimes people quote that like women-like behavior. So how do you handle this problem of when men or your colleagues say like women-like behavior, and it's not directly at you? It may be in a common forum, just for a discussion that label to somebody else. But how do you handle that situation? And how do you, make people recognize that these are not easy things to handle? And then we should be not, in a common forum, the leaders, people in leadership should not be giving remarks like this.
So I think again, very important points you made, and as you rightly said that it's not very easy for the society also, because they have a certain kind of mindset since long years, and even when you sit in the interview panels, you feel that your colleagues and they feel that when a woman candidate is in front, they always start calculating that whether she's married, whether she's having children, or whether she's planning to have children, whether she will go on maternity leave, or whether what would be the work loss, etc. And these all calculation put together, these are not the law of land, these are not on paper, but these things are in some or the other manner become deciding factor when there are two same the two people with same skills are sitting in front, or at times even if that woman is having little more skills also. So these are the subconscious bias, one needs to deal with it. One of the officer and leading position told me that her juniors were having a problem to salute her while she joined the that kind of a responsible positions and taking orders from her. So, and gradually she has to make a mark, and she has to really kind of establish that kind of authority. So it's a more harder path for a woman than a man. It is whatever somebody will say, but this is a day-to-day, as you said, it's a day-to-day experience that we have to prove ourselves more than a man because of the mindset. But I'm glad that still there are a lot of changes which are happening in places, in different places, and gradually this stereotyping is also getting diluted. One of the experiment I would like to mention, because you asked one question, that few children, they are of 6 to 10 years age, and they were shown a picture and they were asked to identify with a possible gender. So like a firefighter, and a surgeon, doctor, then a teacher, a homemaker, a business person, those kind of things. And they, so majority of the children, they identified firefighter as a male, a surgeon as a male, a business person as a male, while homemaker, teacher, and dancer as a female. And actually they put the live examples and everybody was opposite of that gender. The children were surprised. So this comes very early in the brains, how our training in our society's perception, and the stereotyping comes very early in the age. So perhaps we have to work right from there. We have to start working in our home situations, each one, and in our early schooling, colleges, everywhere. So I think it's a mission which needs a lot of effort from each one. And first thing is like you start with acceptance. Again, as you said about the remarks, the woman-like behavior. So it is a stereotyping because it is perceived that certain kind of behavior is more So I think one need to confront and prove that this is not a woman kind of behavior, and it's a candidature which matters rather than gender alone. And we will discuss more on this as we'll move on this panel. So now I'll move to Ms. Sangamitra Singh. So Sangamitra, your thoughts and what we are discussing, how to survive in a political world, with a lot of policies, and you lead many things. So your advices and with glimpses from your own journey.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti. This is a very, very important issue that we are talking about. And in fact, tomorrow's theme for Women's Day talks about the digital divide and the need to also empower women in the digital world. And essentially, the inequalities that we are talking about today, they are a culmination of a number of deep-seated factors. So gender inequality is something that is persisting for centuries, and it's manifesting in different shapes and forms. So we see discrimination against women in leadership positions, in jobs, in access to health services, in day-to-day life. And the fact that we have normalized the challenges that women face in day-to-day life, even in the most I would say progressive work environments, the fact that it is understandable that a woman has the responsibility to take care of a child, has caregiving burden at home, but is supposed to serve the same kind of hours, is supposed to basically navigate the system with the same kind of setup as men do. It reflects an inherent lack of understanding that we have for how women's responsibilities on a day-to-day basis are different. And I personally feel that I've been very lucky. I'm a scientist by education, and now I'm working in this policy space. But I do acknowledge and respect the fact that there is an army of people in my life, in my personal life, who are making this happen, who are making it possible for me to work the way I want, whether it is my husband or my parents or extended family. And that kind of support system is something that every woman is not really blessed with. The second thing that I would like to talk about is, there were Shagun and Aisha and others, they talked about the self-limiting beliefs that women have. Well, it also stems from the fact that when you're navigating something that very few women have, when you see very few women having achieved, actually having reached a leadership position, you automatically start doubting yourself and thinking that if so few women could, then will I be able to really navigate the system? And there are subtle hints at, I think you talked about it earlier. It's very normal to ask a woman when she's planning to have kids, whether she's married, how old is the child? And these are all, discussions which are very, very normal, but we're not really having them with our male colleagues. So there is this unsaid burden that we are putting on women on a day-to-day basis. I also want to flag the fact that, India has one of the lowest female workforce participations in the world. And there is a reason behind that, because we are, as a society, we are not really conditioning our women to work to really have purpose in life. Most women in a country like India are working because they need to work. And in fact, if you look at data from the National Family Health Survey, the last round, you'll see that actually women's labor force participation, it declines with increase in wealth quintile. So the richer a woman is, the richer family a woman belongs to, there is this perceived notion that she doesn't need to work. And that is a mindset that we really need to fight, because how are we going to get women to become leaders of tomorrow if we fundamentally don't instill in them this thought that you need to work to have a purpose in life? So I'd like to stop with that.
So I think extremely well articulated that the mindset needs a change, that they need to have a purpose. And you so correctly said that this is ingrained in many people's brain, and right from the beginning, as I was also explaining with that example from childhood, perceptions that if they need not to work, why they should work. So, this kind of change is very much needed. And with this, so these stereotyping needs a break, and we need to work on several multi-pronged approach and multi-pronged manner to break these barriers. So I will also now take on board Miss Swati Pandey. So, Swati, you are doing phenomenal work. So you are a leader in your field, as well as you are supporting underprivileged women. So I want to hear from you. While you were doing to support these underprivileged sector of women, there must be a lot of challenges you must have faced. So I want to hear from you on this, and what is your perception when you interacted with those women, and how we can actually handhold and support that sector. Swati, can you hear us? So if there is some connectivity issue, Manmeet, please check, and while in the interest of time, I'll move to Shachi. So Shachi, you want to give some tips, on how women leader should navigate and network with other colleagues, and about mentorship issues as well, and like how you want to suggest other fellow colleagues from your journey.
Thank you, Dr. Bajpai, and I'm really happy to be here. Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, very much. Please.
Thank you. Really happy to be here, and can I just also applaud you on a great attempt at pronouncing my name, because that's usually where everybody stumbles whenever I join a panel. So thank you for saying Shachi right. I just wanted to start off, by appreciating everything that the incredibly strong women leaders in this panel have already said. But one takeaway that I have had as just a rapt audience is that it's so clear now that a lot of the challenges that we as women face are universal experiences. None of us is on a unique journey. All of us are facing such similar challenges, and it's so important also for us to come together, share these stories, and share the sort of lessons we have learned and moved ahead from. Um, so, just also talking about this sort of, because it's been mentioned, the imposter syndrome that women face of, am I really worthy? Am I right to be here? Another challenge which came into my mind when it came to, like, why aren't we more vocal? Why aren't we more in the front? Is because I think there's also a fear of being labeled. And this is something I have personally experienced, where I have a male colleague who is equally ambitious, equally passionate, but has been very quick to label me as aggressive, assertive, difficult to work with. And it's also typical, again, from a stereotypically gender lens, that women are viewed on who they are supposed to be, and when they don't fit into that sort of meek, humble mold, and are sort of posturing as a more male stereotype, they are then labeled poorly, and that also curbs your opportunities of growth, because somebody feels, oh, she's too strong, I don't want to work with her, right? That was one thing that I wanted to sort of also highlight, that is definitely a challenge that we face, and it is then coming down to changing institutional mindsets on how we need to appreciate confident women. We need to celebrate confident women and not label them as difficult. The second was, whereas we might attempt to be very proactive in creating a network, like one of the panelists mentioned, it's so important to have that mentorship and peer network, and like a senior person who's advocating for you. I think another sort of piece that comes in for women especially is finding that very fine balance, because when you are creating your network, you're not creating it only with other women leaders, you're creating a network which is irrespective of gender, and you don't want to be misinterpreted. So the way we go about our approach to creating friendships and networks, again, is a very delicate balance to come across as professional and yet still maintain a great working relationship and a great professional conversation. Because men all join a WhatsApp group, men can go out drinking, men can take trips together, and suddenly everybody is one big family and everybody is, bhai, bhai, bhai. And then you're not really privy to that circle. You can't break into that circle of them sharing information and getting to know each other and supporting each other. And then, you have to find your own unique way of ensuring that you create and maintain those relationships within what you want your network to be, which includes men and women. Another part that, again, a lot of people I'm sure do face is that you might have been hired because of your technical skills and your managerial skills, but they come into doubt because you do get told that, oh, you're just here to fill a quota. You're just a diversity hire. इतने परसेंट औरतों को रिक्रूट करना था इसलिए तुम्हें कर लिया. And then you have to work that much harder to, prove yourself and say, no, I deserve to be here. And finally, we have to realize that the sort of stereotyping of gender is not only harmful to women, it's also harmful to men. Because it's also affecting the way they make their professional and career decisions. It's affecting the way they mature emotionally. Do they create empathy? Do they lean on each other emotionally? Like, I have a support group of women who really build me up. And I genuinely believe that nobody cheers you like your group of women. Nobody encourages you like your group of women. But do men have that opportunity? Do men have the opportunity of being completely vulnerable? Do men have the chance of saying, you know what, maybe a professional life is not for me. I want to be a homemaker. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a cook. I want to be a dancer. And us stereotyping across the board is also harmful across the board. And then finally, I just wanted to say, I think it's important for us to sit back and just brush off the labels. People are going to think what they want to think. If we're going to spend a lot of our mental energy focused on their thinking, as opposed to our intentionality, which is what is driven, right? How someone perceives you is up to you. It's in your hands. So be present, be intentional, be visible, be confident. If anyone has to label you, they will. They are wasting their time. You keep doing your work, keep being heard, and ensure you're there, front and center, proving that you deserve to be there. Thank you. Back to you.
So fantastic. I think you have said many things and very, very precisely and very rightly. We need to shed this stereotyping. It is not only a woman issue, it is essentially a human issue. And if we actually can, somewhat, I understand that it cannot go drastically immediately, but if we start taking those infantile steps also today, and if we actually all of us, men, women put together, if we are convinced in our minds that this stereotyping is actually bad for everyone and society per se as a whole, then we can perhaps move on this orbit and can be much more neutral. We don't want extra privileges, but we want really to be seen as neutral. As you rightly said, this quota issue, again, I want to give an example of our own survey. So one of the men, because they are the men who are also responding to this gender climate survey in oncology in India, so he said very loud and, emphatically that, women, they want to take best of the both worlds. They want to say that we are skillful and this and that, and they also want to take those extra privileges. And in counter argument, another woman said that from, centuries put together, this is the underprivileged sector. So let's come on the board equally and then start competing. As you rightly said, there are different biology, there are different perception at a home, societal, every level. I will show you the COVID impact. Even with this pandemic also, women get more hampered than any other. So these are the natural barriers which we have to face all the time. So, once the board is similar for both, then perhaps stop having those kind of extra privileges till the time perhaps those extra privileges are also okay, so that this leadership should be acquired by women leaders as well. And many times, with your own efficiency, your own skills, only you get those things. But then also people perceive as that you are perhaps from that quota or diversity equation, you are getting that So I think we need change in mindset. Swati, now I can see you. I think there was some connectivity issue. So I
Yes.
want to hear from you your efforts towards those underprivileged women, and also from your journey, how you navigate the hurdles.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dr. Jyoti. It's absolutely a fantastic group of women you've got here. You know, it's an eye-opener in many ways and a learning issue for us. Let me, I will deal with this a little differently. A social issue and a social crusader. I work in India Post, though I've been in many other departments. It's generally a department that's grappled with a branding issue. You know, like what is the relevance of India Post is the general question among everybody. Amongst that, you're a lady in India Post. And of course, you will look into the social aspects of it. But I would also like to tell you that we in the department, we run the biggest bank in the country. We are 3 times bigger than the State Bank of India. Why this is important? Because we also do financial inclusion. And I'm sure everybody here on the board who've handled women and their financial issues know that's the big red letter area. That women, you know, because of their not having is incomes or access to incomes directly, are not the target audience for financial inclusion. Now, when a woman sits on the board, I've often asked this question, what is it that she brings to the board or brings to the table? And I mean a business board. You know, the general answer, Jyoti, comes empathy. Dr. Sachi says empathy. You know, like I agree with you. In fact, Dr. Sachi, I think you resonated and you actually took away all my words, so I have to redo what I want to say. But so the question comes, she brings kindness, patience, empathy, diversity. You know, the main thing that they forget is you get business. You get in the numbers. You are there because you are capable, not because somebody has put you there of large G's. We are not there about large G's. We are there because we are 1 + 1. It's the way we function is different, not the function that is different. So for me, taking up the social challenge of, you know, opening up Kamatipura and bringing the children who have no KYC into the ambit of inclusion and DBT schemes, direct benefit transfer schemes, I was very, very, you know, reluctant about this. Say why? The reason is that I'm a woman. The moment you handle a societal issue, you are branded. औरतें हैं, करना क्या है, काम धंधा तो इनको है नहीं. That is what is, you know, very, so we have actually ding donged. I was an anthropologist in an earlier Janma, so I would say we ding donged from a Cinderella complex to a superhuman complex. Neither were we Cinderellas then, nor are we superhumans today. Of course, please give us a break. But you know, that's what they've boxed us into. The real danger is not men versus women. The real danger lies in our old frontal cortex, you know. We have boxed ourselves today, all the performers, achievers. When you say she, heroes, achievers, performers, cut the crap. Let's not use this word. We are just the other sex who are there in this new arena, trying out our capacities, our destinies, and our dreams. And that's it. We are not here as heroes. You know, this is a term I absolutely detest. When people say you're an achiever, you're a power woman, no, nothing, nada. I'm just an ordinary person, somebody's wife, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, and somebody's boss also. I think that's the perspective difference, Jyoti, that we need to understand, that if we were boxed to a Cinderella complex, let us not get boxed to a superwoman complex either. Leadership is also about owning up to your own, weaknesses, your foibles, and yet going along business as usual. So if it's business as usual for a man, it's business as usual for a woman in a different perspective. We have a unique perspective. They have a unique perspective. If they say they're logical, we are empathetic. But it's eventually each of us bring what is best for our organization, our sector, or where we work. So I wouldn't want to talk more about, the societal impact, because often we get clam. She's a lady. She won't understand business. Of course, she'll do the societal impacts. I am going to be the rebel in this gang there. We mean business. The truth is that my region, when I joined, brought in about, 220 crores of business after 3.5 years of my tenure. I topped the country in business. I've got about 600 crores last year. So this is what we bring to the table also. In a hard-hitting man's world of numbers, get in the numbers. Once you get in the numbers, you are a part of the equal gang, Not comfortable with you, but doesn't matter. Discomfort is sahi. You're a part of the gang. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I think again, very well said, and very well said that we are only another person. So stop expecting, demanding that we should behave in a superhuman, superwoman manner, multitasking, worshipping. We just want to be the way we are and accept it the way we are.
Absolutely.
So I think this is again breaking stereotyping and moving. I also want to hear again from you, because you worked a lot on that Kamatipur area, and these are the very underprivileged women. So if you have some important lesson learned from while you were working with them, and you want to put forward in this forum, because perhaps from here it go a long way, then please put a crisp message.
The only thing I will tell, the only thing that I will tell you, what I learned is that strength is everywhere. Please do not call them underprivileged. They just faced different circumstances in life, and they have, handled it the best way they can. But each of them is a person with equal grit and determination like us. And the truth is, today, when I walked into Kamatipura, I went to save them. And I come back, they're just equal partners. It's a difficult situation. They have taken that as the profession. Do not go saving anybody. Go and augment, augment and amplify. The lesson I learned is that you can't, whether you are needing the savior or they are needing the savior, that comes as a question mark. But please amplify and augment gap areas. That is the only thing I can say.
Absolutely. Again, it is another profession. So another person with another profession, and definitely, we need to respect their choices and their circumstances. That is a loud and clear message. I will move to Dr. Reena Nair. So one of the very senior, very respectable manner in our oncology community. And we want to hear from you, your experience, and also many people. I am receiving requests from many people in their mid career, or while they are trainees, fellows, that they face a ganging up against them. And Shachi also very clearly said that it's difficult to be one of them when they are going out in evenings for joining for drinks, and they become very close and closely supporting each other, to how to break that and how to face that ganging up issues. Because majority of the time, while you're trying to rise the ladder, you are one, and there are several other people who are trying to validate you. Also, they're not liking a woman standing beside as a leader, or at times crossing you. So how to deal with that? And at times even people face the issue that a much less skillful, much junior person given an authoritative role or leadership role, a woman is denied of. So how to deal with those conditions?
So Jyoti, thanks a lot. It's been, a real learning, and I can almost look back and kind of say what are the mistakes that I have made as I grew over the last 35 years in oncology. The medical profession, I think, has been far more supportive of the women than many other professions, and we can make that out so easily from the discussions that we have had of women in different roles across. But having said that, I like the panelists saying that it is a lot to do with us internally. And if I look back, I would say, yes, it was an internal thought that if I am seen to be aggressive, if I am seen to be noisy, if I have an opinion, if I am seen confident, then I may lose more than I may gain. And so I honestly have followed a middle path at most of the times. And to be even more honest, when I started 35 years back, on most of the forums, I would find I was the only woman who was speaking. I was the only woman on the panel. I had really nobody else around to kind of discuss these issues. And today I can not only say that, yes, I made the mistakes, and how will I improve, not for my own self, but definitely at workplace, I feel it is my duty now to make it more safe and more friendly for the women who are there. There are people who have a little bit of problems. And again, it is my duty to be the helping hand for them. Maybe sometimes give them that little extra chance, even if I see that there is somebody else who deserves it a little more. Being a part of a women's gang, if I may call it, I must make sure that there are people whom I stand by, and if they can benefit a little more, no harm. And when I look at the people whom I have helped, I'm kind of happy to see Jyoti where she has reached. So even if I didn't achieve, when I see Jyoti achieving, it must give me the maximum happiness that people will break this glass ceiling at some point of time if there are other women who stand by it. Most importantly, I think if we have to change, everybody has discussed that it has to come from the society, it has to come from our homes. We have to change the way we bring up both gender of our children, not only the girls, but also the boys. We have to make sure that we, kind of instill in them that financial stability and security is more important than the rest of the things that the world may tell our daughters. And if we continuously do this, especially, the women who have kind of now gone through the, let's say, the heat and the dust of rising, if they start speaking at forums like this again and again and again, I'm sure it'll sink into the minds of people. And if there are women at home, I think we must help them too. Because very often you will hear the older women saying, "Humne bhi to apne zamane mein बहुत मुसीबतें उठाई थी," rather than saying, okay, you are doing something different and let me stand by you. I also feel, we keep speaking again and again about what is our problems, but we also need to have solutions for this. And sometimes I feel that the minimum solutions that you can start with, and there are so many women today in so many different areas, that I feel childcare facilities is something that is required if we want our women to work and work with their minds at work and not with their minds at home. And this is especially true for all the mid-career and the young women, especially when they are working, when they are going out to make their presentations, when they are staying that extra hour to finish their whatever we may say. In our field, it would be papers, research, writing. We must have something which will support these women. Everybody cannot come from a family which has a lot of support. There will be a lot of women from nuclear backgrounds, and we have to encourage them also. So I think there is a multi-pronged plan which should be there, and the older women can be a part of making sure that it happens in the community. The middle order women can help the younger women, and together we can move much further than just putting the blame on the male section of the society or putting the blame on our old thoughts. I think we have to change.
So I think very nicely summarized, and there are pearls of wisdom from each one of you, and I think the audience will derive a lot of benefits if and each person is little different, and each circumstance is also little different. So what suits your needs best, you should gather and move forward in the sector. I would say that mentorship and sponsorship are two very, very important things. You need to learn to navigate. You need to learn to find your mentors and sponsors, and be a little outgoing in that, because this is also one of the aspect. Women are not networking as much as they wish. They are hesitant. They are not that much open, and that also hinders their progress. We need support, inclusions, collaborative efforts. Even if somebody cannot do one-to-one, there is possibility of distant mentorship, distant sponsorship. And I'm part of a few societies like ESMO, our own Indian Society of Medical and Pediatric Oncology and Immuno-Oncology Society, etc., wherein we are trying to really make an effort and a list wherein mentors and mentees which suits each other's, and we can establish those distant links. So perhaps that can really be beneficial for many women to rise in their careers. Also, as Dr. Nair very rightly said, that we need to support. We need to. So if a woman is now in a position with whatever hurdles, etc., they face, but if now you're seeing somebody, junior to you, at your same cadre, or even at times senior to you, you can support differently. And there also comes a hurdle that at times you are in a position that man is not supporting. They are with their own peer groups and their own sectors, but is also not supporting you, and you find yourself really alone, and that path becomes more difficult. So perhaps we need to handhold a fellow woman, junior, senior, anybody. And a small example, if you got an invitation to give a talk, or to write an editorial, etc., in science sector, and similar kind of opportunities in different sectors for other people, and you can't really do that for your busy schedules, then perhaps you can suggest 2 or 3 fellow women colleagues' names, so at least they will get some turf on stage. This will be a very small help, but perhaps it will be important for her career building and her visibility. So I think we should be making conscious efforts to do such things. This is an example of ESMO Women in Oncology Committee, and I would like to mention about Solange Peters, who was the visionary president from ESMO, and she has brought into a lot of changes. Before her, there were only a few women who were in the executive committee or different committees, and she perceived that need, and her efforts and her effective voice makes a lot of change in the society. So there are several other issues also I would like to hear from Mrs. Sujata Sonic, also the same questions, about her journey, the hurdles she faced, and how she navigated in retrograde, what she wanted to do if it was given a chance that she could do differently. So for some last minute commitment, she could not directly join. There's some connectivity issues, etc. So she sent her messages, and Nirav, you can please play on this.
Dr. Jyoti, that's a very interesting question you've asked, and I think in general, in all spheres, women have to work hard to prove themselves, because there is an overall impression that is very generalized that women tend to take leave, or will come late and leave early from the office, or they will not be prepared for a meeting, or that they could be confused, mixing up things. And then the other extreme is that, oh, she has an attitude, oh, she is very difficult to convince. Sometimes it is said that, she does not listen, and she follows her own voice, etc. So there are these stereotype images that we will often see around us, and I'm sure that in your own journey up the ladder, you may have faced something similar. Speaking for myself, I would say that you have to really work hard, and your good work has to be noticed. And many times it so happens that even if you've done good work, or you think you've done good work, it still is not acknowledged, because it is seen as you're doing something on your own. That does not have really the sanction of the superiors or things like that. So yeah, that's been my experience. So, handling the hurdles, I think all of us have our own unique ways of dealing with it. First of all, you try not to allow it to get under your skin too much. And, you have to remain very equanimous about the whole affair, and try and keep doing your work. So I deal with it like this, that I get fully immersed in whatever work or duties have been assigned to me. And I try to go into the details of what can be done better in terms of the processes that we follow, or whether I can propose a new way of doing things. I also keep an open ear for feedback, listening to other voices, and trying to understand for myself whether what we are doing is the only or the best way, or if things can be improved. So I think just focusing on your work during your professional time is the best way to handle it, and that's how I've handled it. Well, what I have observed in myself is that over the years, you learn to deal with it better. You know, I think with time comes maturity, with experience comes better understanding. You also build very good bonds within, your professional network. You find people who mentor you, who support you, who help you to overcome your doubts, including self-doubts, and who act as a, sounding board for you to go and ask questions about what is it that you're doing which is probably causing a problem, and that helps a lot. So I feel that in every stage of your career, in every decade of your career, you will have a different response, and that is very typically related to your own age and experience in the system. As you grow older, you maybe become a little wiser, and you find that you take it better, you take it on your chin, and you also develop a lot of self-confidence over the years. And I think for me personally, the most important factor is that I always ask this question before I take a major decision, is that what is it that I believe in? Because I feel we all have to follow certain ethical principles, something based on morals and also the rules that provide the framework for the work we do. And yes, there is some discretion available which can be exercised. I tend to exercise it in favor of those who are needy, and for those who perhaps do not have the strength or the access to go right to the top and seek redressal. So I tend to help the most vulnerable. Aside of that, I think I take a call on how much is to be sort of let go, and most of the time I try and do my work without any regrets. So sometimes it gets really hard, it's not easy, but you have to ask this question at the end of every decision you take, that do you feel comfortable with what you have agreed to do? And if you do, then you move on, you don't have to look back.
So thank you very much. And, again, my slides, please.
Madam, reshare. You need to just reshare it from where you have.
Okay, so towards the end, actually. So meanwhile, I will ask my any of the panelists, do you have any burning remarks? We are towards the end. So if there is any burning remark, question, comment, you can please come. Shagun, you want to say something?
No, I mean, not exactly. It was such a riveting conversation. I think everyone spoke with so much passion. The only thing I would say is that, sometimes I get taken aback because what I think is a common, what all of us are joined together with a common experience, that's not often the case. And even with some women leaders that I came across very recently, some of them are like they're heads of important institutions and mostly from the corporate sector. But even this idea of why should we have pay parity, gender pay parity? For me, it's like, why would you question that? But there are these notions that, for women don't want it, women are happy, why are we pushing? So I think for us, it's not just to change, the thing of men, but there's a lot of sensitization. And I think we have underestimated how much we need to do even to bring people together to a common point. So I would say that, but a very, very interesting conversation. Thanks a lot, Dr. Jyoti.
So thank you. Very crisp comment from each one of you. Shachi, you want to take it? So crisp comment from each one, and then we will end.
Thank you, Dr. Bajpai. Just want to say thank you to everybody. It's been a fantastic conversation. And the one comment I do want to make for the young women that are watching or may watch this video is that just forget about the labels. Don't bother what anybody is saying. We put so much pressure on ourselves based on what someone else's perception is, and that should not matter to us. All that should matter is that we are present, we are intentional, and that we are very, very enthused, because every woman who has come before us has created a space where we can flourish, and we're going to keep doing it for the women that come after us. So just keep trying, reach out to us, and we're there to support you.
Thank you. Aisha.
Thank you so much. It was absolutely energizing to hear everyone. I just have to tell everyone that one should just not compromise their health while they're going upward in their journey of leadership. I think health is very, very important. We just have to figure out what does good health mean for us and how do we want to balance that health to be able to also emerge as a great leader. Please continue to maintain good physical health, good mental health, and like we have discussed, social relationships are absolutely a big key. And if you're able to, take a little bit of all of these and then combine with that meaningful purpose we get in our life, we will definitely emerge as great leaders, as great women leaders. That's all. Thank you.
Well said. So, Sangamitra.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti. This was a terrific conversation. I'd like to say that we need to focus both on diversity and inclusion in any organization and understand the difference between the two. I think we are gradually making that shift to having more women in the workforce. We're seeing that there are definitely more women who are joining the workforce, but it's important that we move beyond a very tokenistic sort of approach where there is one board member, there's one senior person in the group. I think women need to really be heard, they need to be valued, they need to be appreciated, and it needs to be done in every sphere for them to really succeed as leaders.
Thank you. We have Aarti from your side.
That was a very, very inspirational conversations that I have witnessed this evening. Thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. Jyoti. Yes, I would agree with a lot of my colleagues here that mentorship, inclusion, diversity is all that we need to do, take forward, looking after our health and the health of everybody around us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Smita.
Yes, Dr. Jyoti, it's such a fabulous conversation. And as all of us we are discussing, we need to fight our internal biases and internal stereotypes and to rise above all our internal fears and then take equal opportunities, what is available to us, and prove our worth with our work. So work should speak for us and that will carry us forward. And we should provide equal opportunities to people who are working under us.
Well said. Tejaswi.
Thank you so much for this enriching discussion. I just want to request to all that many of us are the achievers in real sense, but there are women around us who are really struggling to balance their work and the family life. And I think one can become achiever in true sense, a successful person in the field in which she is working, only when this balance is achieved. So the ones who are struggling for achieving this balance, this hand holding by the one of us is required. So let's do it for them, and let's try to be them equally successful in the fields that they have chosen. Thank you.
Thank you. Swati. Dr. Nair.
So, something very nice to hear. I think I am the oldest in the group, and perhaps I have seen the maximum change that has happened. And at least in today's forum, it's so nice to see women have already achieved so much in less than a generation. Needless to say, we are the lucky women, and we need to handholds for very, very many other women who are actually trying to climb this ladder. And I'm sure meetings like this, as they are kind of the word spreads around, we will have lots of people who will come up to hold hands, take other women together, and make this place a better place. So thanks, Jyoti, again for a great interaction with so many women who have achieved so much in their lives.
Thank you. And this is my last slide, my take on gender equity. It is time that we all see gender as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. Next time you are about to call a little girl bossy, say instead she has executive leadership skills. Culture does not make people, people make culture. if it is true that the full humanity of woman is not our culture, then we can and must make it our culture. Men are from earth, women are from earth, deal with it. So with this, I will really end. It was, I'm so much thrilled, I would say, and overwhelmed. It was such an intense discussion. Everybody spoken so spontaneously from their own journeys, and there are ups and downs and how they navigate, how they rise the ladder, and lots of, take homes, I would say. And with this, I'm hoping that we need to accept in the circumstances we need to accept our own personalities, we need to accept our colleagues, our irrespective of gender, and try to make progress for ourselves as well as fellow colleagues. With this, I would end, and thank you very much for this great discussion this evening, and my very, very best wishes on International Women's Day to each one of you. I hope we will take infantile steps and continue to make progress in the orbit. Thank you very much.